In 2019, the cyber tip line for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received 16.9 million reports related to suspected child exploitation, with a large number of those reports linking to popular online applications including Facebook, Roblox, Snapchat, TikTok and Twitter.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jose Herrera, and today I'm joined with Steve Krall, who is a North Carolina magistrate. He's had 6 years of experience working with families in Pender County, and today we're going to be discussing the dangers of social media from his point of view. Steve, how you doing? And thank you for coming on.
Hey, doing well, Jose. Thanks for having me.
So, Steve, a lot has changed in terms of the past decade regarding not only social media, but just smartphones in general. In terms of the legalities, what kinds of experiences have you come across with preteens and teenagers using smartphones and social media within the school system?
Unfortunately, way too much, actually. I've seen the images being sent, the bullying being conducted, and the bullying is just huge because you can get a lot more people involved a lot easier through social media. I guess the same thing works with the sexting as well.
What kinds of, in terms of the cyberbullying, are there any kinds of laws out there pertaining to cyberbullying? For example, if I send some kind of message to someone that has some kind of a threat, what are the implications that might have on an individual who does some kind of cyberbullying like that?
So you have obviously the regular law that pertains to that kind of stuff is, the communicating of threats. Anytime you communicate a threat to somebody, no matter if it's through your phone, in person, through another person, you could be charged with that crime, and that leads to juvenile justice involvement. Depending on your age, if you're over 18, you can be put right into the adult court system as well.
Have you worked with anybody who's had firsthand experience in cyberbullying? And if you have, what kind of telltale signs does someone might project?
My experience tends to be with the parents of those kids. And they come to my office at all hours at the magistrate's office because we're open all the time. And, they're saying my son or daughter just is refusing to go to school. They're not going to their baseball games, their athletics, whatever they normally did, they're not really doing. They're just trying to stay in and away from everybody. And they just start noticing that behavior change from somebody who's active and out and doing their thing to somebody that is becoming a recluse and just hanging out in their house and staying off of the computers and doing all the things that they enjoy.
What kinds of tactics are used in order to go ahead and kind of bring somebody back from that kind of a state?
What kind of I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
So if I was a parent and my child was going through some form of cyberbullying, what are some of the experiences or some of the strategies that parents use in order to go ahead and kind of bring their child back to a state of, balance?
The first thing a parent needs to do is go ahead and seek the help of the professionals. Come down to my office, go to law enforcement, go to school administrators, go to a teacher, go to a support specialist at the school, whatever is going to help facilitate some relief, because nothing's going to change until the bullying stops. Once the bullying stops, then you can start seeking some of the mental health programs that we have in the community with organizations like the Coastal Horizons or the schools. But first and foremost, you need to get somebody in authority to go ahead and put a stop to the bullying, and then you can start moving on to repairing your child.
In terms of
quick rundown of how our laws work is our felonies run from A all the way down to I and everything in between. A is being a murder, and I would be some type of theft. And when we're dealing with sexual exploitation of a minor, which is what it is when you have naked pictures of somebody under the age of 18 engaging in sexual activity, our laws are very serious about them. The first degree, which is the actual producing of or having of those pictures that you firsthand, I guess would be the best way to do it. That's a Class C felony. And then it goes all the way down to, I believe, a Class H felony for third degree. So these are serious offenses. They carry significant prison time for adults, and they can have serious impact on how a minor spends the rest of their teenage years, either under probation or incarcerated. So there's lots of negative punishments that can be associated with having these pictures on your phone.
With your experience, has there been, so oftentimes I deal with a lot of preteens and teenagers, and sometimes they don't understand the consequences of sending something through a text message or through an IM, especially on social media. Can you speak to the kind of how information just stays within cyberspace and that there's no way to delete that?
Yeah, I think one of the funny aspects of this is the kids think that they know better than us. And what I mean by that is they started using social media more, Snapchat, Kik, stuff like that, because they thought that it was protected. It thought that it would go right away. It doesn't. It stays around for as long as somebody wants it to stay around, and probably even longer after that. And the best way I can describe the impact in a community is the old example of a rock in a pond. The ripples just keep going. And if you don't mind, I have a pretty good example of that, and a real life example of how that happens. A young preteen girl, and I'd say middle school, was sending pictures to her boyfriend. She thought she was in love and they were just going to last forever. Sure enough, that thing did not last, and he shows one friend. That one friend shows another friend, who then showed the ex-girlfriend of her new boyfriend, who sent it to her. Before this girl even got up the next morning after her and her boyfriend had broken up and started dating a new boy, she had more than she could even count of messages and comments, and became almost instantly became suicidal. We know the impact of being ostracized from your little social circle, and when you are ostracized from the whole school, because everybody has seen a naked picture of you that you thought was personal, that can have just lasting impact. And we spent a good 5 hours just that night trying to stop the flow of the picture going around the school the best we could, and we weren't successful, I'm pretty sure of that, but we did the best we could with law enforcement.
So if someone's underage, so say like someone's like 15 and someone's 16, are there still consequences for spreading that kind of content around?
Yeah, absolutely. So the third degree sexual exploitation is just the possession of it. It doesn't matter where it came from, where you had it, how it got there, accidentally, on purpose, if it was airdropped onto your phone from at the cafeteria. It doesn't matter. So just the simple possession of that picture is a felony in the state of North Carolina.
Is there anything that parents can do in order to somewhat thwart that kind of thing from happening? What kind of conversations should parents be having with their preteens or teenagers?
They need to have that conversation like they're young adults and not like they're little children. I go in and I speak to kids in schools all the time about this, and I've watched District Attorney Ben David do it. If you talk to them like they're children, they're going to respond like children. If you talk to them like how you expect them to behave, you're going to get better results. don't be afraid to say the words. Don't be afraid to tell them what sexual exploitation. Make them uncomfortable. We hear it all the time as parents. We are their parent first. If you want to be a friend later, fine, but our job is to get them safely to adulthood. And the only way we do that is have these hard, tough conversations and treat them as if they are young adults and show them the behavior we expect from them.
So this past year, I believe the Cyber Tip Line estimated that there was 16.9 million reports of some kind of sexual exploitation floating around. And I think depending on the context, I know that since 7 months ago, since the pandemic started, we've had an increase in how we use technologies and social media. But one of the indicators, or one of the more detrimental aspects of using this technology, has been men who have found their ways onto platforms and have begun asking for certain kinds of content. In terms of child predators, can you speak to anything of that nature?
They are exactly that, predators. And we have overused that term quite a bit in our society. We overuse a lot of terms, but the one that I really dislike is that we overuse predator. We use it for athletes. We use it for, people that have strong motivations in their career. That's not the accurate term for what a predator is. A predator is somebody that will get what they want at whatever cost they need to get it. And as you said, they're going on. These adults are going on, and it's not just men, it's women, women too. They're going on pretending to be peers of these kids. They know how to speak to them. They know the lingo. They know the apps that they can feel safe on. And they have no problems trying 50, 60 kids a night because
Wow.
Unfortunately, these are not only is it for the sexual gratification of the predator, but these pictures are considered currency. They trade them for other things. And the more you have, the better it is. So they just throw as many fishing lines out there, and whatever they catch, they use and bring back around. In terms of operations, we have probably, he is just an outstanding detective, Detective Kleinert up here. And he does these conversations, and he flips the script on these predators, and he pretends to be not just a random person, but a contacted person. And he will go and take over the chat and set it up where these people come to meet these children for a lot more than just pictures. And I can think of at least a half dozen just in the last year and a half where he has successfully lured somebody to go meet one of these children for their purposes, for physical purposes, and stop them before they were able to get there. If there is some misconception that is something that happens in big cities and happens once in a while, little Pender County, I can think of 6 cases off the top of my head in the last 18 months. And I guarantee you there's more. And the only way we find out more, if you parents get on it and have no problem having that conversation, show me your phone. That's the conversation. To get back to your earlier question, show me your phone. And don't be afraid of it. And when they say no, there's a reason. Just like when they hide the broken glass under the table, there's a reason. They just don't randomly do that kind of thing.